coach, not a player. Fresh off a national championship, Harbaugh looking to repeat the success he had in San Francisco, where he went 44-19-1. Project number one, Justin Herbert, who had a very blasé year. 5-8, completion percentage, fine. Passing yards per game, 13th. He doesn't throw the ball deep, which seems bizarre via Kellen Moore. 20 touchdowns, just a lot of whatever.
Those passing yards per game, completion percentage, and passer rating for Josh Allen get you invited to the MVP ceremony.
He also missed 4 games. All right, so Brew, do you believe Harbaugh can unlock Justin Herbert?
I do, and that's what he does. He unlocked Alex Smith. I don't think it's an overstatement, Nick, to say he saved Alex Smith's career. Alex Smith, the number one pick in the draft. This guy was the number one pick in the draft and hadn't had a winning season in like his first 5 or 6 years. He was hurt one of those years. So like first 6 years before Harbaugh gets there, you undisputedly viewed as a bust.
Yep.
And he gets there from a 6-10 season, and Harbaugh takes them 13-3, and they go to the conference championship game. And Alex Smith, of course, goes on eventually to Kansas City and has a nice career. Okay? Colin Kaepernick. Now, obviously, there's all types of stuff that happened after the fact, you know, with the anthem and all that. But I mean, as a player, this guy was a borderline star. He never made a Pro Bowl or anything like that, but he was becoming a star under Harbaugh. His record with Harbaugh was 25-14. His record without Harbaugh, 3-16. So Harbaugh is a great coach, clearly.
Coach.
And so, yeah, look, Herbert, you mentioned it, Nick, the yards per game, completion percentage, touchdowns, all career lows this year. He was not staying. I know you talked earlier in the year about him staying steady. He was declining by the time the season ended.
And he was, I agree.
And it was a bad atmosphere and all that for him too, environment. But yeah, I think Harbaugh unlocked.
So on that note, we can show you, because I am not one of the loud Justin Herbert critics. I think he's an A- quarterback. What's frustrating is he was an A- quarterback his rookie season. Not for a rookie, but just amongst quarterbacks was an A-, and I think he has stayed that way since then. Here is the thing, though, and this is why I think this is an interesting spot for Harbaugh. Harbaugh is a great coach. There's no doubt about it. And it is another great coach in the AFC West, and I know we'll discuss that. Harbaugh's, I think, best value is exactly with what Brew was talking about, which is he can get your quarterback, even if they don't have a ton of talent, up to a good or even great level. The Chargers quarterback is already good, has talent, so if we're going to say he's going to get him to even higher level, so be it. But the Chargers and Wilds, this is when you can make your voices and make fun of me, but I have to do it for 60 seconds. The Chargers cap situation's a disaster because they went all in. Right. And they went all in on Herbert on his rookie deal, which was smart, but they wasted it. And so next year, Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, the two of them, $67 million against the cap for those two players. They're not both going to be back. Next year, Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack, the two of them, $74 million against the cap. They're not both going to be back. Their great center, unfortunately, has a health issue, might not come back. They have one offensive lineman you believe in, no D lineman you believe in, and they have the fourth least cap space of any team in football. It's Saints, Dolphins, Bills, Chargers. And those last three all have something in common. You had quarterback early or on his rookie contract trying to go topple the Chiefs, and none of them could do it. And so I just think that this is a team in transition. And so I think Harbaugh is the best hire they could make.
You think so?
What do you mean?
You think Belichick?
Well, I don't think Belichick wanted to go there. I'm worried about, or if I was a Chargers fan, I would be worried about exactly what Mangini told us last week. A college coach that has been 110% dialed in on high school recruiting and the Big Ten is now going to come like, all right, has he been I know Vrabel's been dialed in the entire time. I know DeMeco Ryans was dialed in for the last few years 100% of the time. He hasn't been dialed in. And if he was, he wouldn't have won the national championship if he was looking around at the NFL.
Yeah, but the last time he did it, it worked great. He was dialed in on San Diego and then Stanford, got Stanford top 5, finished season, took over San Francisco, and your point, instantly good. And so, listen, I do think he's an excellent coach. I just think the Chargers are overrated talent-wise before they had to cut all these guys they're going to have to cut, and now they're going to have to cut a lot of players this offseason.
I mean, look, I agree with Nick on how great Harbaugh is. It was, a decade essentially ago that he was in the NFL.
Yes.
We've seen guys come back, John Gruden, and it's a different league. So I will give you that, but I still would bet on Harbaugh.
Last point, while I think he's a great coach, I'd be a little anxious that, except for at Michigan, he doesn't stay anywhere. And if you're trying to take the long view with Justin Herbert, it's like he had Anthony Lynn, he had Brandon Staley. Harbaugh, aside from Michigan, is a 4-year guy. Yep. And then, are we going, you know what I mean? Are we going to be on this again? I think it's the right hire, but I don't, we'll get to it here. My guess is people are going to be more bullish on the Chargers than me.
9-8, max. Mahomes locked into the Ravens while the AFC West reloading. Sean Payton, QB. Antonio Pierce gets a full offseason and a new QB probably. Chargers get Jim Harbaugh. Mahomes, historically dominant, Nick. I know you have these memorized, but just for the audience, 30-5 is an absurd division record, best since the merger. So, should Chiefs fans like myself be worried about the Chargers?
As worried as we were about Sean Payton. They're not competing with us. They might win a game in the regular season. It's hard to go 6-0 in the division every year. I understand that, but the Chargers are the team who should be bummed out is the Raiders. Because now the Raiders, it's like, damn, we're probably going to be last in the division. Yeah. Which, by the way, it should be noted, the Chargers were last in the division last year. And I know Herbert missed time, but he didn't miss the whole season. The only team in the AFC last year that finished with the worst record than the Chargers was the New England Patriots. And it was by 1 game. Oh. I think we need to reset our eyes there. And Brew, and I think we'll agree here. And I understand it's hard to project year over year, and there's injuries. But going into next season, Kansas City, Baltimore, Cincinnati, Houston, and Buffalo. That's 5 teams. If all 5 quarterbacks stay healthy, I would expect all 5 of those teams to make the playoffs. But let's say one of them gets hurt once. But say there's 4 playoff spots taken. There's only 7. These next 8 teams, if you ask their fans today, they all think they're in. Cleveland, they were in this year with 4 quarterbacks. Yep. Miami, Pittsburgh, they're there every year. Jacksonville, who had the down, I'm telling you, their fans thinking. Right. The Jets believe it. You cannot.
We don't need to talk.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, that's fine. The Chargers, Denver, and a team you guys will roll your eyes at again, but was playing in a playoff game in the final week of the year, Indianapolis. So there's only 3 teams whose fans going into the season think they're not making the playoffs: Tennessee, Las Vegas, and New England. Right. That's it. And so my point is the Chargers are competing, even with Harbaugh, Brew, to me, for one of those final 2 or 3 playoff spots, not with the Chiefs for the top of the conference.
Yeah, look, worried, scared are too strong. I mean, the Chiefs, you got Patrick Mahomes. They don't need to be scared or worried about anybody, okay? But on alert, raise your eyebrow, take note, sure. I mean, I do think the Chargers, and I didn't pick them this year to make the playoffs. Most people did. I don't remember if you did or not, but most people had them in the playoffs. I didn't think because of Staley they'd make it, but they were in it a couple years ago. They only won 5 games this year, but of the 12 losses, Nick, 7 came by 3 points or less. And they're going to have those guys, you could tell they had lost faith in Staley. So they're going to be reinvigorated. Whoever's back, they're going to be reinvigorated. Eckler, they'll probably lose, I'm guessing. Yeah. Although, running back, who knows what the market will be like for him. I think even if they lose and they can find a running back, they'll probably keep one of their receivers, I'm thinking. Yeah. Maybe Keenan Allen. So I think they're going to be good. I think they'll get into the tournament. And if you're in the tournament with a great coach and a great quarterback, then you got a shot. But I don't think the Chiefs should be scared.
That's where I just, and this is where I guess I do come across as a Herbert critic. I'm not ready to call Justin Herbert a great quarterback yet. He's very talented. I think that if you're this deep into your career and you are not either a postseason lock or in the one time we saw him in the playoffs, I thought he played very poorly after the first quarter and a half of that game. There's too many quarterbacks in the AFC that, to me, are known factors that even if Herbert is great, whose name I would have ahead of him. You know what I mean? Right now, I trust CJ more. You have
it's
to trust
1 year, but CJ
Lamar
was
more, and then Josh, Joe, and Patrick. That's 5.
That's fair.
That's 5, and then you see.
But I feel like he was under such a handicap with Staley. I mean, it just.
You wanted to fire Staley months ago.
Yeah. It was.
Well, no, because he was at Michigan.
I would have been right. No, I was right.
Is Brew still riding